All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order of the May 22nd Park Advisory Committee, and we'll start off with roll call.
David Marquardt,
Here.
Alexander Aldrich, Mitch Havig,
Here.
Robert Ross,
Here.
Aaron Gillum, Brian Haugen,
Here.
Emily Moore.
All right, with that, we like to welcome some new members to our board. We have Alexander Aldrich, who's being at large for us. Welcome. And then we have Mitch Havig, which will be Ward 1 representative. So welcome to our board, and
Hello.
Thanks for being a part of it with us here. Number 3, we'll go on to agenda amendments. Are there anything to amend for agenda?
Nothing to amend.
All right. Moving on to the approval of the minutes from April 1st. Should all have been emailed those. Is there need a motion to approve those? Emily, all right. Do I have a second?
Second.
We'll go with Robert. All right, I have a motion by Emily, a second by Robert to approve the minutes from April 1st, 2025. Any discussion? Any discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And any citizens to be heard today? Doesn't look like it, so we'll move on to business. And we'll start with the presentation of the Heartland Trail. And it sounds like, Dan, you'll be leading in this one.
All right, thank you, members of the Park Advisory Board. I'm thinking this will be maybe a 10, 15-minute presentation, so hopefully that's good. And I think there'll be a presentation that'll get pulled up here shortly. I can get started right now. Here's a presentation. So anyway, thanks again for letting me present here. I'm Dan Farnsworth with the Fargo-Moorhead Metro Council of Governments, MetroCog for short. And I'd like to give you an update here on the Heartland Trail study that we are just wrapping up now. And I would like to show you what we've got in our study. So, anyway, the Heartland Trail, just as a background, if some of you don't know, it is a 49-mile paved shared use path. It's 10 feet wide. Currently, it goes from Park Rapids, Minnesota to Cass Lake, Minnesota. And it was built back in 1976, at least the Park Rapids to Walker portion. And it was one of the first rails to trails projects in the country, we're told. So you can see on that map there, it's in an orange color. It might be a little hard to see, but you can see where that portion of the trail is at, again, 49 miles. And what you see in green are extensions of that trail that we hope to see in decades to come. Off to the right is a picture of the current trail as it is today. So then in 2006, the state legislature of Minnesota authorized that it could be extended as a state trail from Park Rapids all the way to Moorhead. So that's over 90 miles. And now there's no funding set aside for that, but it has been authorized to be extended as a state trail. And so in 2011, the state DNR did a study, and you can see that alignment there on the projector. And you can see there's 2 different alignments to get from Park Rapids to Detroit Lakes, and then one overall study area from Detroit Lakes to Moorhead, and that's what our study is focusing in on and narrowing down. And so then in 2014, MetroCog created the Heartland Trail, Clay County Heartland Trail Task Force, and so that's met a number of times over the years, but then there wasn't a whole ton of progress until just more recently. As far as portions in Becker County, there has been a 5-mile section constructed, you can see here on the slides. And that goes from Detroit Lakes to just outside of Frazee. And you'll see a bridge going over County Highway 10 near Frazee. And then from there, I believe that's being constructed all the way into the city of Frazee this year. So you'll see that if you're going along Highway 10. And so bits and pieces are being constructed along this corridor, but it's a time-intensive process. So then in beginning of last year, 2024, we were able to get quite a bit of funding to do a real true study to see exactly how that alignment should be, get cost estimates, and really go to the next step as far as this trail planning. So MetroCog was the lead agency on this study. We hired a consultant team to help us with this. And we had partners from the city of Moorhead, MetroCog, city of Dilworth, Partnership for Health in Becker and Clay and Otter Tail, Wilkin counties, Clay County itself, and then the city of Glendon. So that was kicked off again in beginning of 2024. And so you can see the timeline on that. And so we started with looking at what's out there today and what's the potential alignment, and then working with the public and other stakeholders to try and fine tune that alignment. Also developing cost estimates, how would we implement this? And then we're at the draft study report phase, and now we're doing presentations. So we'll give a number of presentations before we adopt the report and move on to the next step. So we anticipate that will be adopted in August of this year. So again, like I said, there was a lot of public engagement here. You can see this is all the in-person public engagement that occurred. And so we reached out to folks here in the Moorhead area, Fargo, Dilworth, but also landowners out in that area too. And so there's different opinions, different perspectives from where you are, where you live. And so some landowners are interested, quite a few would prefer not seeing it in their area, but a lot of folks from our area in the Fargo-Moorhead area really are excited to see this trail. So we had 2 open houses, one in July and then October of 24. Also had a landowner meeting in October of 24. 2 stakeholder meetings, so that'd be like the DNR, the BNSF, and other stakeholders, townships that would be part of this process in the future. And then we had a number of pop-up events too that you can see down below. And then we also had online engagement. We had great turnout online, over 2,000 visitors to the online website, and of those, about 350 provided input on our different interactive web tools. So you can see that one online interactive tool, people could drop comments on things they liked or didn't like about that study corridor, different routes that we had suggested. We also had 2 different surveys, one of what kind of, how would you use the trail, and also what segments do you prefer to see as priorities. And here's just zooming in a little bit more. We split it into 4 segments. This is the furthest west one, closest to Moorhead. I figured I'd show that to you all. And so what we did is we narrowed it down to 3 alignments, which you can see here. Some of them overlapped on each other. And so it might be hard to see what those alignments were, but one of them was more or less going down Highway 10, which the advantage of that is you have a lot of room right of way to build a trail, but what we heard from the public is that they're not too interested in riding a trail that's along a busy highway like Highway 10. 2 other ones in this section were on 12th Avenue South, so if you were to go to Dorothy Dodds Elementary School, also by Horizon, and you take that corridor just straight east, that would be that 12th Avenue corridor, and people seem to like that one a lot more. So you'll notice here, once I get to this alignment of segment 1, that's the alignment that we're looking at. And so what you see in blue there is that long-term alignment that we are focusing in on as we wrap up this study and move forward. What you'll notice too is a dotted green line. And so what we're thinking here is we are working with the city of Dilworth, who is working with the BNSF on switching their rail crossing from the heart of their town over to 14th Street, which would be the rail district going straight south, and having a bridge over the railroad. So that's something that it won't happen right away. It'd probably be at least a decade out for something like that, but that's our long-term goal, is to have a trail crossing that bridge that would go over the railroad tracks, 14th Street East. And but in the meantime, that dotted green line would likely work, which would go from down 34th Street, which has a shared use path, and crossing the railroad tracks at the existing bridge, and then going right north of Horizon and Dorothy Dodds Elementary School, and then all you'd have to do is build about a mile of trail out of town there. What you'll notice here is that the trailhead, which is in line with the DNR study, would start at Centennial Park in Moorhead, so wanted to point that out to you all. And then you can see it crossing straight east to on 12th Avenue there, and then there's a busy Highway 336 there. We would plan for a tunnel under that, just because it's busy and unsafe for pedestrians to be crossing on that grade. And then on to Glendon and further to Buffalo River State Park, to Holly, and then into Becker County. That's just a view of what the trail could look like. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of right-of-way. and there is no, not much for public land at all that we could be using. There'd just be private land, and there's no eminent domain as part of this process. So we have to be cognizant about that. And so you can see there isn't a ton of separation from the two-lane roadways, but the good news is that those two-lane roadways aren't super busy either. In the case of 12th Avenue, it is gravel, and you'd be expecting maybe 200 vehicles a day, so not too bad. And there could also be some dust control put down on the roadway too, is what we've been talking about, so that could help as well. And so what you see on top there is 15th Avenue. That'd be the one that goes by Centennial Park, and that can vary as far as the distance from the roadway. And then 12th Avenue is that more rural one on the south side of Moorhead that I was telling you about, onto Glendon. So here's just a rendering. There hasn't been detailed discussion at all with Moorhead Parks on this, but this could be what a trailhead could look like. These are just ideas. So this is Centennial Park. There's the baseball diamonds to the north west there, and then there's the parking lot. And maybe some of that parking lot could be utilized for a trailhead there with some benches, a shelter, a kiosk for wayfinding, bike racks, things like that. Possibly even, maybe even some bathrooms or water fountains if that's possible. And then here is just looking at the segments that we would propose that could be started first, starting with 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Again, I did talk to you a little bit about that section from 1 to 2, that you see that 3B in small text, that would probably actually be the first segment. So, but we'd just work our way to the east and then tie into Becker County, which we have been talking to those folks planning the trail in Becker County as to where that tie-in point would be best. Probably they're looking to go through Lake Park, we're looking to go through Holly, so we can meet there along the county highway up there. I think this is the last slide, more or less, just talking about our next steps. And so once this study is approved, then it's time to really go to the next steps and try to make things happen. And so we would work on setting up our Clay County Task Force again and see what kind of membership would be best there to keep things moving. And then another thing I didn't talk about, though, would be setting up whether this should be a state trail or a regional trail. And that will be a big discussion with elected officials and with our group. This study doesn't say one way or the other. We want to involve those who are in charge of the money to see whether or not they want to adopt this as a regional trail or not. So the advantage of a state trail is that the state would ideally be paying for a lot of the trail, especially the maintenance of it for the indefinite future. The downfall with the state trails, it often takes a lot longer to construct, and the DNR is quite strapped for money. So, for example, in Detroit Lakes to Frazee, it's been about 10 years of planning there, probably more like 12, and there's been about 5 miles of trail constructed today, whereas in Otter Tail County, that's a regional trail, and there's been 35 miles of trail constructed in the last 12 years or so. So you can kind of get a feel for why there's certain advantages to a state trail now, or a regional trail. Now, the regional trail would have to be paid for, the maintenance would have to be paid for locally, whether it's the county or a group of people, of jurisdictions along the way. I did repeat that third bullet, so you can ignore that. And then beyond that, there would be looking at the segments. Once we have those finalized, then there could be, design of the trail, work with landowners, just because there might need to be some easements for construction and other items there. Pursue funding sources, so whether it's regional or state trail, there'd be some state dollars that would be pursued, would be the best route, and other federal funds and local funds. So working on that, obtaining the funding for construction, and then incrementally constructing the trail. So makes it sound easy, but those are the steps that we would envision. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions from you all.
Any questions? I was wondering if the casino would go in, would that change the pathway of the bike path since the traffic would be so much heavier at that area than currently?
That's a good question, and we are keeping our eye on that. I think the path would probably stay on that 12th Avenue. In fact, what the casino could do is, right now, there's limited right-of-way on that road. It could actually, depending on if they pave that road, it could end up with more right-of-way, so the path could be further separated from that. It's just my thought on it. So I would envision that path would stay on there, and it could actually help utilization of the trail if there's a casino there.
Okay. No other questions? We appreciate the presentation and thank you for spending your time with us and going through it all.
Thank you all.
All right, we'll move on to the update and approval of the park signage. Forrest?
Perfect. Thank you, Chair and Park Board members. So today, we're asking you to get some information and then to make a recommendation with finding and hiring a sign company that's affiliated with a cooperative purchasing group. So about a year ago, we started looking into what it would take to replace all the park signs because they're starting to get worn down and some of our newer parks don't have signs at all. So we started working with the company and we ended up presenting the design options at the May 29th, 2024 Park Board meeting. And that was just to kind of help solidify the design and some of the elements that Park Board wanted to see on those signs. And after we started doing a little bit more research, we realized that it didn't quite meet the requirement for the purchasing policy. And so there's 3 different options that we have with the purchasing policy for the type of funding range that we're looking at. The first is to select a company that's part of a city-approved cooperative purchasing group. And essentially that group has already been vetted, so we don't have to go out for a request for quotes. The second one is to develop a set of criteria and then release a request for quotes, which we did end up doing back in November last year. Those were returned to us back in December 2024, and then we reviewed them back in January. And what we ended up finding was that there was a widespread of different options available. And so when we were trying to rate which one was going to be the best, we kind of ran into a situation where we couldn't make a great determination. And so then we kind of went back to the drawing board to figure out which one would be best. And then the third option is to develop our own park plan or park signage plan where we can literally develop everything from the ground up. But with that one, it takes a lot of additional resources. And so just to kind of help keep the project moving along, what staff recommends and sees as the most viable option is that first one, which is to select a company that's part of a cooperative purchasing group. Included in the packet are a couple of signs. One's at Riverfront Park, one is in Arbor Park, and then the last one is a picture of Horizon Shores Park. And that's just to kind of show that there's different signs throughout the city that don't match, that aren't cohesive. And with the signs that we would be looking at, all the city parks would have the same cohesive design, and then we can tailor them to be a little bit more specific to each individual park. So like on this example, all the icons on there are basically strong adhesives. And so if a amenity ever gets removed from a park, or if we ever decide to put a new amenity in, we can take one of those off and replace it. And then also with our river corridor parks, we would be able to brand these signs with a river corridor logo just to help with a little bit more wayfinding and placemaking. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? How many signs are we looking to do this year yet? Would there be, I know it's a kind of staggered throughout the next couple of years. What's the plan for?
I don't think we have a great plan right now, just because it is getting later into the year. And then we would have to go through and actually find the company that we're going to select, go through the process, whether it's redesigning this exact same sign or if it's something a little bit different. But Paul, do you have any other ideas or thoughts on that?
Yeah, so what we've done so far in the 2025 budget, we've allocated $50,000 out of the Park Amenities Fund for this. And then the thought or the plan was we would do the same in 2026, and that should get us about to the funding level we would need for all of the signs. Because right now we don't have it dialed in with an exact cost or anything like that. We have to be fluid, but like what Forrest has laid out here with the procurement type, that will give us the most control to make sure we have the design we want, and we have the control on the plan to put everything where we need to put it. It's going to be the most convenient for us. And Forrest has put a lot of work together here with the design that's on the screen right now is just kind of what we've talked about before as far as the overall feel or look of the signs. So just giving us the latitude to stay with that and move forward. With a lot of new board members here too, we thought it was worthwhile to kind of share that design and look just so everyone's on the same page.
So would be holding off to do them all together next year, or would there still be potentially some done this year if it could be done?
I think potentially we would get
Start.
started on it this
Okay.
year. It's just a matter of making sure we can get the procurement and work it into the plan.
Thanks. Any other questions?
Okay. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Are there any downsides to that first option at all? I mean, it sounds like an obvious choice, but I'm curious if there are any downsides relative to, I mean, beyond what might be stated here. Just curious.
Not that I can really think of offhand, really because it's a contract that's already been vetted by other contracts, so it's already been put out to bid. It gives us a really competitive pricing, but like we talked before, it really gives us the opportunity to make the decisions and not have to dial in every detail and then get bids. It gives us the latitude to just work with the vendor and come up with a product that we want.
Yeah, it's been about a year of discussion and good talks through it all, so I think it's been vetted pretty well, and I think it's a pretty good option for us, so. So I think what we need, if there are other questions, a recommendation to move forward, correct?
Yep.
I'm not sure if we have exact language or not for a motion, but
I'll make a motion to move forward on the park signage project.
do I have a second?
Second, Havig.
All right, I have a motion by Aaron and second by Mitch to move forward with the signage for our parks. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, looking forward to getting some common signage throughout the parks. Would be great, so. All right, we'll move on to the approval of the 2026 proposed fee schedule. And that's Sean.
Yes, Park Board and members, per park ordinance, Park Advisory Board reviews fees to recommend to approval for City Council. So in your packet, you saw kind of the list of all the programs, shelters, and fees that the department charges. I apologize for all of the red on there. Normally, I think we just put the red for any increases. But kind of looking in the packet here, you know, there was kind of three areas that we looked to adjust. One was Moorhead aquatic programs. Just with the amount of amenities offered at the new Romkey pool, the increased accessibility, and just increased amount of staff with the operation there, we did adjust that pool fee to kind of be where all the other area pools at. So very similar, you'll look at the Roger Gress pool in Fargo. We're really close to that mark, I think right at $5, and really adjusted kind of our seasonal pass to kind of be right there. I think we're a little bit below even the Madison pool in Fargo. So we kind of just looked at it with all the new amenities and just even trying to be consistent with our adjustments moving forward, that we needed to do a price adjustment. And that was kind of the big one that we're looking for feedback from the advisory board on. We also took a look at Yumcum's meeting room rates. Those hadn't been adjusted since COVID, and just kind of seeing what's out there, trying to make some simplifications and then adjustments there. And as well as kind of some moderate increases to golf, looking at the other golf courses in the area, being competitive there. So I know there's a lot of fees to look through and a lot of red that's probably burning eyes, but welcome feedback and discussion, and yeah, on the 2026 proposed fees.
I was just going to say that I looked through them and I thought they were all really reasonable beyond just what you said, but also just inflation and the cost of doing business. I thought they were all reasonable.
Maybe just a call out on the competitive strategy you mentioned, Sean, you know, city to city, but was there any strategy behind the rate increases by individual item? Yeah, I think we're looking at adjusting seasonal wages in 2026. That was one thing that kind of spurred part of it. We're also going to have a concession operation that we never had before, so carrying additional staff. That was kind of the big reasons. And obviously kind of that stuff with chemicals and all that type of stuff that you need to, run facility like that doesn't seem to ever go down. So just kind of trying to adjust with that, and then hopefully doing more consistent adjustments as needed. Obviously, our number one thing is trying to keep things affordable for families and everything like that. So just kind of trying to be mindful, but also putting ourselves where, those other entities are probably set in the area.
I had a question on the Centennial Fields part. If you look at the Moorhead Youth Baseball 8-field tournament, it says 8 fields for tournament. It's like 300. A non-association is 500, and then like crush is 60 per field. Is there a reason why there's different amounts for each group of how it's used?
Yeah, so a lot of those user groups have use contracts. And I think of some of those contracts are multiple year contracts, kind of with fee increases built in. One thing I think we're trying to move forward with is more of kind of a standardized process moving forward. But I can't speak exactly to the differences just because I don't have the exact contracts and use agreements in front of me. But it's definitely something I'll look into.
Okay, thanks. Questions or? Otherwise, I will take a motion to approve the fee schedule if we're ready for that.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2026 proposed fee schedule.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Aaron and a second by Robert to approve the 2026 fee schedule. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And move on to updates, and we'll start with Romkey construction update, and I believe Paul's taking this one.
Sir, yeah, for the Romkey pool, just wanted to provide a quick update on that construction. Here in late April, we started back up the spring construction for the project. Couple of site photos in the packet. The first one is standing at the pool house, looking towards kind of the pool deck and where the new pool will be. As you can see, we're working on the excavation of the pool itself. The second photo gives you a better view of the hole for the pool, if you will, but more, I guess, the shape of what the pool is going to look like. And then, of course, that's looking the other direction towards the pool house itself. If you've driven by in the last couple of weeks, you've definitely noticed a lot of dirt being moved, and that's kind of what's been going on lately. Also working on the interior plumbing, the underground plumbing for the pool house itself. That is near completion, so pretty soon we'll be starting up some of the concrete for the pool house itself, and the masonry work for the walls on the pool house. And then after that, we'll be doing the rough end for the pool itself and some of that concrete work. So definitely a lot of things to see here in the next few weeks on that construction site.
The 2 inches of rain probably filled up the pool for us, right?
Yes, yeah.
Save some money.
So, yeah, schedule-wise, we're overall on track, but definitely this week slowed things down a little bit.
And you can even see, if you drive by, you can see kind of the little sledding hills, kind of taking shape over there. So like Paul said, yeah, a lot of dirt being moved over at Romkey.
Sounds great. Any other questions about that or anything? All right, we'll move on to Woodland Disc Course. Sean?
Yeah, so a few years ago, we were approached by a couple members of the disc golf community trying to kind of rethink that disc golf course. I believe it was first designed in the 90s, and basically trying to do some things to kind of invest in disc golf. So we've been working with a couple individuals of number one, trying to redesign the course to make it safer for walkers and other park users, but also kind of invest in that area. So the parks team, Mike's team has, per request, we've put mulch around the baskets to kind of provide more of a better playing experience, protect some of the discs. We've also done a number of cleaning up hole and tee boxes and areas like that. And we also just ordered new baskets. So these are kind of the double chained baskets that, are kind of used at tournaments and that type of stuff. So we're still working on the redesign with the disc golf community, but really excited to kind of see some of that process. And we're hoping to have all the new baskets installed this summer. So.
Discussion? Nope, all right, move on, we'll keep moving on. I guess looks like groundbreaking for Matson Field.
Yeah, so the Matson project, most of the park board members are aware of. This is the Legion Baseball Stadium. So that construction is beginning July 1st. So that project, it's a phase project, and phase 1 will start to move forward. We did identify a groundbreaking date of June 30th. So we'll be sure to invite park board, council, and all those members to come out for that. It'll be held during a Legion game. So it's really exciting to kind of during the Golds game. So when the kind of the next group of baseball players, they'll actually get to play in that stadium when it's done. So we're really excited for that event coming up.
Good, any discussion? No, all right, we'll keep moving. Special events?
Yeah, kind of moving forward, you'll look in your packet. A lot going on this summer, especially over at the Yumcum Center. If you haven't been able to check out River Arts or the Farmers Market, they're really, really great events. This is actually my first summer being able to experience, and there's a lot of great activities for kids, a lot of great local bands coming, being a part of the event. So look for the market, I believe, starts June 3rd. It's Tuesdays, every Tuesday at the Yumcum Center, and then River Arts, select Wednesdays, looks like June 11th, the 25th, and then a couple dates in July and one in August. So definitely a lot of activities, for families and individuals. So definitely could use the board's help in trying to get the word out, because I think it's one of these things that is a community secret, and we definitely want to get everybody out, because there's a lot going on over here. So. And then I'll touch base, the Moorhead Juneteenth event this year is going to be held over at Concordia. That was an event that was held at the Yumcum Center previously, but it's actually happening at the same time as the Scandinavian Festival. So we've been working with Concordia, MSUM, and kind of have a great plan for a great event over there at Concordia on June 19th.
And is the trailer at the River Arts, that's the trailer we use that we just rewrapped and
Yep.
looks all nice for
Yep.
it? So exciting to see that too. It'll be good to.
Yeah, so the bands will be on that stage performing. I think we have like the Front Fenders, a lot of great, acts that everybody knows. So it'll be exciting event.
Good. All right. Moorhead Seniors newsletter.
We can kind of move through. There's a lot happening at the Moorhead Senior Center. I don't know if friends, parents, it's kind of one of these things that we're really trying to change the narrative of kind of that active aging component. A lot of great events that take place here. The Moorhead Senior Center is located in the Yumcum Center, so just trying to make folks more aware of all the activities going on here. Kind of move through. There are a lot of active groups. There's the lunch program based out of here, so you can get a nutritious, affordable lunch. So yeah, just a lot of great activities. I want to move back one, Vic. Another thing we're looking at doing is just facility improvements. Just kind of increase the quality of the experience for people. So if you kind of look at some of the photos, that was the signage over at the Meadows Golf Course. I think they've just had been replacing, cutting out the rates and putting that on there year after year, and just kind of some of these things where like we know we can make some impacts there. So if you move to the next slide, we have a nice branded sign that looks professional, and then we're able to just basically print the new rates if they change, and kind of slide that in there. So we kind of just been taking a look with some fresh eyes, trying to spiffy some of the amenities up a little bit. Moving forward too, that's a water fountain at the Village Green Golf Course. It's going to get replaced. That's one at the Meadows, but it'll be replaced with the same unit. Just some of those things that you're used to having, a bottle filler, that type of stuff, and improvements like that we've been trying to make. We've also been working with our facilities team to improve a lot of our neighborhood rec centers. So we run park programs and other types of art programs at each of our neighborhood rec centers. So a lot of them have had significant concrete damage and have grading issues. So we've been able to utilize some funding to kind of improve that access and ADA and just try to help preserve those buildings a bit, because I think even some of the stuff was grading into the building. So just kind of that type of stuff, to where some of those visual, stuff that aren't great to look at, it's, how can we just kind of improve that experience? Oh, go ahead, Dave.
Nope, that's it. Keep going.
I'm just kind of moving down. If you haven't had a chance to read the 2024 development report, it's a really, really great read. Just kind of shows everything that's going on in Moorhead over the last year. Just kind of the events, the construction progress, and everything that's kind of wrapped up the year in one. So I definitely highly recommend kind of combing through there, and yeah, bring any questions or anything like that to Park Board or Paul or myself.
We have a pickleball update in Village Green. I had a couple people asking about where that's at and completion of that.
Well, at Pickleball at Village Green, they are in the process of getting that painted right now.
Okay.
So it'll be real soon where it'll be ready to go. This little rain's dampened things for a little bit, so we'll see when the project will be done, but it should be real soon.
Okay, sounds good.
And we'll be sure to make an announcement too, because I know at that location, I'm sure there's a lot of people chomping at the bit to get on that court. So
Yeah, I've heard a few people wanting to get going on it, so sounds good. Is there an update for like the hires for summer workers and those things? How's that looking and going
Yep.
for like?
absolutely, we're fully staffed with seasonals. So this year was a better year for us, to where we weren't struggling as much. We are taking a look at our seasonal rates too, just trying to stay ahead of the game and be competitive for 26. But this year's hiring, I've heard, has gone excellent. So
Good to hear. Any other questions or comments? All right, I think we're ready to adjourn the May 22nd Park Advisory Board meeting. Thanks.